Okay, so now we move on to adding and subtracting fractions. To be able to add or subtract fractions, we must make sure that the denominators are the same. If the denominators are not the same, we have to make them look the same first. Okay, so let's look at an example. We have calculate 1/5 plus 2/7. Okay, so in order to make the denominator the same, we use the crisscross method to make the denominator the same. So for the crisscross method, we know that we separate the fractions with the denominator of the left-hand side fraction, we multiply it with the numerator and the denominator of the right-hand side fraction. So that's going to be 5 times 2, and that's going to be 5 times 7. Then we also take the right-hand side denominator and we multiply it by the left-hand side numerator and the denominator, which is 7 times 1 and 7 times 5. Now, writing the result, so 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 5 is 35, 2 times 5 is 10, 7 times 5 is 35. Now we just put the original operator back in, which is plus, and as the denominator are the same, we just add the top numbers. So we have 7 plus 10 is equal to 17 over 35. Okay. Now 17 over 35, we can't simplify it any further, so that is our final answer. Let's look at another example. So we have calculate 13 over 5 minus 2 and 2/7. Now notice we have a improper fraction and a proper fraction. So what we know, as it stands, we can't really, it's difficult to calculate or work with this. So we need to convert both fractions to improper form and then find a common denominator before we can subtract them. Okay? Don't try subtracting them straight away. Your answer will most likely be incorrect. Okay, so we know that the first fraction, 13 over 5, is already in the improper fraction form that we want. So we need to do that. We need to convert the right-hand side fraction also to improper fractional form. So we have 2 and 2/7. So that's going to be 7 times 2, which is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. So we have 16 over 7. Now we have 13 over 5 minus 16 over 7. So now we can use the crisscross method. So we have 7 times 13, 7 times 5, and we have 5 times 16, 5 times 7. So we have 35 at the bottom, and at the top we have 91 minus, which is the original operator, 91 minus 80, which is equal to 11 over 35. And it's in its simplest form. We can't simplify it any further. Okay? Now let's move on to multiplying and dividing fractions. So multiplying and dividing fractions. So multiplying fractions is very easy. We don't really have to make the denominators the same. Well, not really. We don't have to make the denominators the same. We just multiply the top number of both fractions together and the bottom numbers of the fractions together. Okay, so let's look at an example. Calculate 1/5 times 2/7. So we just do exactly the same. So we multiply the top numbers. So we do 1 times 2. And we do multiply the bottom numbers, which is 5 times 7. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 7 times 5 is equal to 35. That is our answer. We can't simplify it any further. Let's look at another example. We have calculate 3/5 times 1 2/7. Now in this case, because we have mixed fractions, let's convert it into improper form, just so we can have, just so it's easier to multiply, because we just want to multiply straight across. So to convert this to an improper fraction, we do 7 times 1, which is 7. Then we add it to the numerator, which is 2. So 7 plus 2 is 9. So we have 9/7. So we have 3/5 times 9/7. So we just multiply straight across. So 3 times 9, which is 27. Then we have 5 times 7, which is equal to 35. And again, there is not a common factor that goes into both. So our final answer is 27 over 35. Let's look at another example. What is 2/5 of £150. Okay, so whenever you see the word of, that just means multiply. Okay, so whenever you see the word of, convert it into a multiplication. So we have 2/5 of, remove the of for a multiplication, 150. Now remember, 150, we could write it as 150 over 1. And when it's in that form, then we have 2 times 150, 5 times 1, which is going to be, we could mark it straight away. We could write it as 300 over 5. But if we want to be smart, once we write 2 times 150 over 5, we can notice that 150 divided by 5 is actually 30, because 5 goes into 150 30 times, and that will leave just 1 at the bottom. So that makes our calculations a bit easier. So we have 2 times 30 is equal to 60. So that means 2/5 of £150 is £60. Okay, there's nothing wrong with doing it the other way. It is a bit long. Like a 2 times 150 is 300. 300 divided by 5 is also 60. Okay, but especially for non-calculator, when you don't have a calculator handy, just try to simplify the problem as much as you can along the way. Okay, just make things a lot simpler. And over time you become really good at it. You become faster than the calculator. Okay, right. So we have example 14. Show that 1/1/5 multiplied by 2 1/3 is equal to 2 4/5. So again, we have two proper mixed fractions. So let's just convert them into improper form. So 1/5, 1 and 1/5 is going to be 5 times 1, which is 5, plus 1, 6 over 5. And then we have 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7, so 7 over 3. Now we just rewrite it again. So we have a 6 over 5 multiplied by 7 over 3. 6 times 7 is 42. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so, but at this stage, although we have the answer, it's not in the form that is required, because we need to show that these two, when we multiply together, get to 4/5. Okay, so what we need to do is do 42 divided by 15. So 15 goes into 4 0 times. 15 goes into 42 twice. So that's 15 times 2 equals 30. So 42 minus 30 is equal to 12. Now this number is smaller than our denominator, so we stop here. So that means, rewriting this, we could write it as 42 over 15 is equal to 2 and 12 over 15. It still doesn't look like what the question is asking us of, but we noticed that we can simplify this. We have 12 and 15. So we know that 3 goes into both of these numbers. 3 is a factor of 12 and 3 is a factor of 15, right? So if we divide the 12 and the 15 by 3, we get 2 12 over 15. 2 12 over 15 is equal to 2 4 over 5. That's exactly what was to be shown. Okay? All right, so now that was multiplication, the easier part of manipulating fractions. Now let's look at division or dividing factors. To be able to divide fractions, all we must do is flip the second fraction and then multiply by the first fraction. Okay, so whenever you see division or fractions and they need to be divided, all you do is just flip the second fraction. Okay, so what I mean flip is swap the order of the numerator and swap the numbers. So the numerator will go to the denominator will go to the numerator, and change the division into a multiplication. Okay, so we have flipped the second fraction. So we have 7 on the top, 2 at the bottom, then you just multiply. As soon as you flip them, the sign also changes. So you have 1 times 7 is equal to 7, 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So 1/5 divided by 2/7 is equal to 7/10. Similarly, we have calculate 4/5 divided by 7. Now you might be tempted to flip this fraction over. Never do that. It's always the second fraction. So obviously here is a whole number, but remember, the whole number can be written as 7 over 1. Okay, so never switch the order and then flip it. Okay, so it's always the second fraction. So if it's so we have 7 can be written as 7 over 1. When we flip it, we have 1 over 7, then the division changes into a multiplication. So we have 4 times 1 equals 4, 5 times 7 is equal to 35. Okay, and that is our answer. Let's look at another example. What is 180 as a fraction of 80? Okay, so remember, we have of here, so that means there's going to be a multiplication involved, and it's saying a fraction of 80. So what is 180? So we write the first number on top of the second number, and the second number on the bottom. So 180 as a fraction of 80. So 180 divided by 80 is equal to 18 over 8. We could simplify it further to 9 over 4. Now from here, we could put it into proper form. This is improper form. So we divide 9 by 4. We get 2 1/4. Let's look at another example. Show that 3 2/5 divided by 2 1/4 is equal to 1/23 over 45. Okay, so we have mixed numbers as in this problem. So let's convert it into improper form. So we have 5 times 3, which is 15, plus 2 is equal to 17, 17 over 5. Second fraction would be 4 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 over 4. So we have 17 over 5. The original operator here is division. So we do divide by 9 over 4. Now we know when we have a division, we just flip the second fraction and change the operator from a division to a multiplication. So we have 17 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 68, 5 multiplied by 9, which is equal to 45. Now in this case, we still don't have 1/23 over 45, but if we do division again, so we see that 45 goes into 68 once, and it leaves a remainder of 23 over 45. Okay, which matches what we needed to show. Okay, there we go. Just to prove that it is true, we have 68 minus 45 is equal to 23. Okay. Right, now it's your turn. Have a go at these questions and see how you get on.